Sometimes I don't want to make one big loaf. I want 4 little ones. Mini sourdough loaves are perfect for gifting, sharing, or just having fresh bread all week. And in my case, I will be using these as bread bowls. I will start by adding 150 grams of active sourdough starter to my bowl. Then I am adding 350 grams of filtered water. I will mix these two together until the starter is dissolved or mostly dissolved. And then I will add 500 grams of flour and 10 grams of salt. I am using the Kirkland all-purpose flour to make these little bread bowls. I always use this flour and I get great bread every time. So now you go ahead and mix all of your ingredients together until there are no more pockets of flour left over. I like to use my spatula because it is more gentle on the dough and it cleans my bowl as I mix my dough. I go ahead and cover it up with some plastic wrap, and after 30 minutes I do my first set of stretch and folds. I stretch my dough and I fold it over 4 times going around the bowl, and then I like to pick up the dough and kind of do some slap and folds and folding the dough into itself. I feel like this gives me the best result when I am trying to get my dough to get nice and strong. I wait 30 more minutes and then I do a third stretch and fold. Wait another 30 minutes and then I do a fourth stretch and fold. You can see here that the dough is slowly starting to get bigger, starting to get a little bit fluffier. I truly believe that if you do your stretch and folds correctly and you get your dough nice and strong, you'll get better rise when you bake it. This is the 4th set right here. You can see how fluffy this dough is. I do the same thing, just stretch the dough, fold it over 4 times, and then I flip the dough over and I kind of do some gentle coil folds, very gentle. I let this dough bulk ferment on the counter for a few hours, and this is what it looks like when it's ready. It is not sticky to the touch, maybe just a tad bit, but not overly sticky. And then I can pull it away from the bowl, and there's lots of bubbles everywhere. You can see here on the bottom of my bowl, and the dough is coming off the bowl very easily. You can see here it just like glided off the bowl. And now I am going to weigh this dough out, and I'm going to split it into 4 equal pieces. That way they bake evenly and they look the same, and I just prefer it this way. I love to use a scale to make sure everything is the same weight or about the same weight. Now I'm going to gently shape this dough into a round shape. Once I have all 4 rolled into little balls, I'm going to let them rest just for a little bit, and then I'm going to gently stretch them out and laminate the dough so I can start adding my inclusions of choice. I decided to add some everything bagel seasoning and some cheddar cheese to these dough balls. I was going to do a jalapeno cheddar, but I realized I didn't have any jalapenos. You can leave some plain, you could do some cinnamon sugar ones or just some cheese ones, whatever you prefer to add to your little loaves. So here I'm just going to add the cheese really quick, and then I'm going to sprinkle the everything bagel seasoning on top. I'm going to fold one side over and add more of those inclusions. Now I'm going to fold the other side over that center part, covering the inclusions, kind of pinching the edges to make sure that nothing gets out. And then I'm going to add even more inclusions because why not, right? So I'm going to add more, and then I'm going to roll up this dough very, very gently. I am now pinching the edges to make sure that nothing comes out. And I'm going to just sprinkle a little bit more of that bagel seasoning on top because why not? I do not have those little cute bannetons that you see everyone have. So I just use a cereal bowl and a little baby shirt from one of my babies. And I just go ahead and plop that dough in there. And I put it in the refrigerator overnight. That way it can do its cold proof. Now I'm going to do the same with the other three. I'm going to speed it up for you guys. That way you guys are not just watching me do the same thing again. But for 2 of the loaves, I do not add the bagel seasoning. I just do the cheddar cheese on it. And at the end, you'll see I added some of those jalapenos that I wanted to initially add to the dough. But I added it at the end because I ended up buying some after I put this dough into the refrigerator, and they literally turned out so perfect. You can let this dough bulk ferment on the counter and then let it sit for another hour or 2 so it can continue rising in the bowls if you want these for the same day, and then bake them the same day if you need to. I just wanted them for the following day, so that's why I did a cold proof. I also wanted to mention that you can do this recipe with 100 grams of active sourdough starter. I just used 150 because it ferments quicker when you add more starter. And with the temperature in my home currently, I just like to speed things up just a tad bit. So if your home is a little bit on the warmer side or your dough just bulk ferments really quickly and you know you're not going to be home, you can do 100 grams just to slow things down a little bit. That way your dough doesn't overproof. This is our last little dough ball I am shaping right now. I am going to just cover the bowls up with the shirts and put them in the refrigerator overnight. I like to let my dough cold proof for about 12 to 18 hours at least. I feel like that's when I get the best results, the better flavor in the dough. And in the morning, you just want to preheat your oven with your Dutch oven inside. I did put my 2 Dutch ovens in there to preheat at the same time. So I baked these all at the same time, thankfully. And I just went ahead and scored these and put them in the Dutch oven. I baked them for 30 minutes with the Dutch oven lid on. I like to use parchment paper to divide the dough. That way when they're in the Dutch oven, there's a little bit of that parchment paper in between the 2 little loaves. That way they don't stick, especially since they do have cheese. Sometimes the cheese will ooze out and the dough balls will stick together. You can pull them apart easily, but just to avoid it, I like to use the parchment paper. So now I'm just scoring them really quick and we're going to just go ahead and bake them. Look at all of that steam. This is what they look like in the Dutch ovens. You can see these two kind of stuck together and they have a little dent, but they pulled apart very easily. And I decided to add some more cheese on 2 of these and add some sliced jalapenos right on top. And then I like to bake these little loaves for an additional 10 to 15 minutes with the lid off. And they literally came out so cute. These were perfect as soup bread bowls. I just took off the top, kind of took out some of the bread from the inside and put our soup right on top. And they were so delicious. And you cannot go wrong with these little mini loaves. Look at how cute they are. They're like perfection. I love doing these. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Give this video a thumbs up if you like this recipe. Let me know if you're going to try it out. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in my next video. Oh, and one last thing, look at how big they are. They are a great size. They're literally the size of my hands and they're perfect. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next one.